Hi everyone, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Amaka. In this tutorial, we are going to be learning how to make this bubu dress you're seeing on the thumbnail. If you're yet to subscribe to this channel, please click on the subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified whenever I upload new videos. So let's get started. Now I have my fabric here, and what I'm using for this project is 3 yards of fabric. So I folded my fabric into two, and I have the front panel and the back panel here. Now on the front panel, I have this allowance here that I folded in. Now this allowance is for the front slit and it's 1 inch. I folded in 1 inch. So I'm going to close it back. So I folded in the allowance. Now after drafting, I'm going to bring it out. So this is the length of this fabric. Now the fabric is by 60. That is the grain line. This is a grain line. And this is a selvage. The selvage. Now I'm going to take my measurement. And I'm taking my measurement from here. From this folded part. So the front neck width is 3 inches. And the front neck depth is 3.5 inches. The back neck width is 3 inches. And the back neck depth is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to connect the points. On a normal day, I'm supposed to come down by 1.5 inches for my shoulder slant, but I'm not going to do that because I want it to be full. I want the shoulder to be full. I want it to stand. Now, this is optional. You can come down by 1.5 inches if you want. Now, the full length of the dress is 59 inches plus 1 inch hemming allowance. And what I have here is 60 inches. The actual length of this fabric is 60 inches. The fabric is by 60, so I'm not cutting off anything. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take the shoulder measurement, and half of the shoulder measurement I'm working with is 8 inches. Now from this shoulder measurement, I'm going to take the sleeve length, and the sleeve length is 18 inches. So I'm going to mark 18 inches here, and 1 inch hemming allowance. So I'm going to measure what I have here. From here to here, I'm going to measure what I have here. And what I have here is 27 inches. So this 27 inches, I'm going to bring it down here. Now I'm going to mark 27 inches here. And I'll take it down to the hem. And I'll connect the points. So I'm going to cut it. So I'm going to cut the neck. I'm going to start by cutting the back neckline. Then I'll remove the back panel and then work on the front panel. So from here, I'm going to mark 4 inches for that front opening. So from this 3.5 inches, I'm going to mark 4 inches. I'm going to remove the back panel, then I'll work on the front panel. So this is the front panel. I'm going to cut the front neckline. The next thing I'm going to do is to cut the facing. So I'm going to use this to cut out the facing. Now take note, my fabric is on fold. The fabric for the facing is on fold, just the same way the front panel is on fold. And take note that the allowance, that 1 inch allowance, is still on fold. That is, the allowance is still inside. and I'm going to cut it. So after cutting, I'm going to work on the facing. So for that front slit that is 4 inches, I'm going to mark 4 inches because I'm going to open it. So on this 4 inches, I'm going to mark another 4 inches and I'll slit it. So now my facing is going to be 4 inches. So I'm going to mark 4 inches. So under this 4 inches opening, I'm going to mark another 4 inches. So I'm going to cut it. So this is the front facing. Now I'm going to cut the back facing. So I've brought back the back panel. You see that my facing is on fold. I'm also going to place the back panel on the facing and I'll cut. So I'm going to mark 4 inches on the facing. So this is the back facing. Now for the front panel, I'm going to bring out this 1 inch allowance that I folded in and I'm going to cut the front panel into 2. Now this is the crease line, so I'm cutting from the crease line. That is the center front. I'm going to cut from the crease line. So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to place this right side facing right side and I will sew. So I'm going to place it this way and I will sew. I'm going to sew with 1 inch seam allowance. I'll sew it down and I'll stop here. Now when I get to this point, I'm now going to hold, I'll stop here. Then I'll now hold here and hem here and hem the both sides. So the same way I'm going to hem here, I'm also going to hem here. So I'm going to do it and show you the outcome. So now this is it. After sewing the 1 inch, I had to fold in the seam allowance and top stitched. So when I got to this point, I stopped sewing the 1 inch and I had to hem this part. Now when you turn it to the right side, you're going to have something like this. Now here, I've not opened the 4 inches slit. So now I'm going to mark that 4 inches. Now when I was folding in that seam allowance, I didn't fold in this 4 inches part. It's still open. So I'm going to open here and cut off the seam allowance so that I'm going to sew my facing. So now I've opened the slit and I'm going to cut off the seam allowance. That 1 inch seam allowance, I'm going to cut it off. So now that I've cut off the seam allowance, let me show you how to sew your facing. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to place the facing on the main fabric, right side facing right side, and I will sew. I'm going to sew with 1/2 inch seam allowance. I will sew it round with 1/2 inch seam allowance. So after sewing, I'm going to notch. And after notching, I'll push the seam allowance on the facing and top stitch. I have a detailed tutorial on how to make neckline facing. I'm going to leave the link of that video in the description box. Now the next thing to do on this front panel is to shape the waist. Now this is how I'm going to shape the waist. I'm going to fold the fabric into two, and I'll take my measurements. Now I'm going to measure from the top. I'm going to measure the waist point. So her waist point is 16 inches. So I'm going to mark 16 inches here. So on the waist point, I'm going to take her waist measurement on the waist point. So I'm going to measure 1/4 of her waist circumference. 1/4 of her waist circumference is 13 inches. So I'm going to transfer this mark I have here to the other side of the fabric, just like this. Now this is my finger. You see where my finger is? Now when I turn this fabric, I'm touching my finger and I'm marking it. So this is where I'm going to attach the next belt, the other belt. So I'm going to fix one of the belt here, and I'll fix the other one on the other side that I marked. So I've sewn the belt. Now this is my belt. I have two of my belts here. Now you can make your belt to be bigger than this, but mine is small because the fabric is not enough. The fabric is small. So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew it. I'm going to place my belt this way and I'll sew it, so that I'm going to have something like this. Now, and I'm going to do the same thing here. So this is what she's going to use to snatch her waist. So that's it with the front panel. So for the back panel, now this is the back facing. Another thing I did was to iron interfacing on the facing. Even on the front panel, I ironed the interfacing. So I'm going to place the facing this way, right side facing right side, and I'll sew. So I'm going to illustrate with pins. I'm going to sew. Now after sewing, I'll turn it to the wrong side. I'll notch. After notching, I'll push the seam allowance on the facing, and I'll top stitch. Then I'll turn it to the wrong side. So it's the same thing I'm going to do to the front panel. So this is the facing. After sewing the facing, I notched. After notching, I pushed the seam allowance on the facing and top stitched. After that, I joined the shoulders. I had to join the shoulder, so this is what I have. I have also sewn the belt. So this is the belt. I've sewn the belt. So that's just it with this outfit. I've also hemmed the sides and the lower part. So the way to wear this dress is to wear it. When you wear it, you tie the belt to the back and use it to snatch your waist. You see that the back panel is just on its own. So when you wear this outfit, the front will be fitted while the back will be free. So that's just it with this tutorial. If you found this tutorial helpful, please click on the like button. Share this video with your friends. Share this video in your sewing groups. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so. Feel free to ask questions. I'll be in the comment section to answer all your questions. We've come to the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video.